Welcome back, dear students. Today I'm going to be talking about red blood cells, erythrocytes. The erythrocyte, commonly known as a red blood cell or RBC, is by far the most common formed element and just thousands of leukocytes. Specifically, males have about 5.4 million erythrocytes per microliter of blood, and females have approximately 4.8 million per milliliter. In fact, erythrocytes are estimated to make up about 25% of the total cells in the body. As you can imagine, they are quite small cells with a mean diameter of only about 7 to 8 micrometers. The primary functions of erythrocytes are to pick up inhaled oxygen from the lungs and transport it to the body's tissues, and to pick up some about 24% carbon dioxide waste at the tissues and transport it to the lungs for exhalation. Erythrocytes remain within the vascular network. Although leukocytes typically leave the blood vessels to perform their defensive functions, movements of erythrocytes from the blood vessels is abnormal. Shape and structure of erythrocytes. As an erythrocyte matures in the red bone marrow, it extrudes its nucleus and most of its other organelles. During the first day or two that it's in the circulation, an immature erythrocyte, known as a reticulocyte, will still typically contain remnants of organelles. Reticulocytes should comprise approximately 1–2% of the erythrocyte count and provide a rough estimate of the rate of RBC production, with abnormally low or high rates indicating deviation in the production of these cells. These remnants, primarily of network reticulum of ribosomes, are quickly shed, however, and mature circulating erythrocytes have few internal cellular structural components. Lacking mitochondria, for example, they rely on anaerobic respiration. This means that they don't utilize any of the oxygen they are transporting, so they can deliver it all to the tissue. They also lack endoplasmic reticula and do not synthesize proteins. Erythrocytes do, however, contain some structural proteins that help the blood cells maintain their unique structure and enable them to change their shape to squeeze through capillaries. This includes the protein spectrin, a cytoskeletal protein element. Erythrocytes are biconcave discs. They are plump at their periphery and very, very thin in the center. Since they lack most organelles, there is more interior space for the presence of the hemoglobin molecules that, as you will see shortly, transport gases. The biconcave shape also provides a greater surface area across which gas exchange can occur relative to its volume. A sphere of a similar diameter would have a lower surface area to volume ratio. In the capillaries, the oxygen carried by the erythrocytes can diffuse into the plasma and then through the capillary wall to reach the cells, whereas some of the carbon dioxide produced by the cells as a waste product diffuses into the capillaries to be picked up by the erythrocytes. Capillary beds are extremely narrow. slowing the passage of the erythrocytes and providing an extending opportunity for gas exchange to occur. However, the space within capillaries can be so minute that, despite their own small size, erythrocytes may have to fold in on themselves if they are to make their way through. Fortunately, their structural proteins like spectrin are flexible, allowing them to bend over themselves to a surprising degree, then spring back again when they enter a wider vessel. In wider vessels, erythrocytes may stack up much like a roll of coins, forming a Rolex from the French words for roll. Shape of red blood cells. This photograph shows a few red blood cells. Erythrocytes are biconcave discs with very shallow centers, as we said. This shape optimizes the ratio of surface area to volume. Hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a large molecule made up of proteins and iron. It consists of four folded chains of a protein called globin. Each of these globin molecules is bound to a red pigment molecule called heme, which contains an ion of iron. Each iron is the heme can bind to one oxygen molecule. Therefore, each hemoglobin molecule can transport 4 oxygen molecules, and individual erythrocyte may contain about 300 million hemoglobin molecules, and therefore can bind to and transport up to 1.2 billion oxygen molecules. In the lungs, hemoglobin picks up oxygen, which binds to the iron ions, forming oxyhemoglobin. The bright red oxygenated hemoglobin travels to the body tissues, where it releases some of the oxygen molecules, becoming darker red deoxyhemoglobin, sometimes referred to as reduced hemoglobin. Oxygen release depends on the need for oxygen in the surrounding tissues. So hemoglobin rarely, if ever, leaves all of its oxygen behind. In the capillaries, carbon dioxide enters the bloodstream. About 76% dissolves in the plasma, some of it remaining as dissolved carbon dioxide, and the remainder forming bicarbonate ion. About 23-24% of it binds to the amino acids in hemoglobin, forming a molecule known as carbaminohemoglobin. From the capillaries, the hemoglobin carries carbon dioxide back to the lungs, where it releases it for exchange of oxygen. Erythrocyte life cycle. The first step is the hemopoiesis of erythrocytes in the bone marrow. So erythrocytes are produced in the bone marrow and sent into the circulation. At the end of their life cycle, they are destroyed by macrophages and their components are recycled. That's it about erythrocytes. Good luck. See you later.